guess I'll just use the phone camera. Hey guys, technical difficulties abound. How are you doing? All right, I was trying to go live on my computer. It's so laggy. I don't know why. So, I forgot, hey, I can go live on my phone. I just haven't done that in so long. So, I think wonder if I can flip my screen. How does that work? How does that work? Because I wasn't really gonna use my board, but I don't want it to be backwards. This just flips the camera, I think. Okay, well, I wasn't really using the board, but there it is behind us. This is the model I use for everything, you guys. CTFAR. There are circumstances in the world, and we have thoughts about them. Thoughts are simply sentences or simply phrases in our mind, okay? And then we have feelings about those thoughts. You may think that somebody else causes your feelings, or when something happens that makes you angry or upset or happy, you think it's the circumstance, but it's not. It's your feeling about the circumstance. And then our feelings drive all of our actions, you guys. And then your actions produce your results. So anyway, that's what that is behind me right there. I wanted to check in today and see how you're doing on your thought work, noticing your thoughts about yourself. Okay, so we talked about that earlier this week. This month, we're working on compassionate confidence, developing the relationship you have with yourself. It is the most important relationship you will have in your life. Okay? So quit beating yourself up. Become your own best friend. You know, we talked about it, you know, if you went to your friend and said, well, what do you think of me? What do you think of my body? What do you think of my life? What do you think of my job or my parenting skills? Your friend's not going to dig into you and start judging you and knocking you down. You know, she's going to be supportive. So be your own supportive friend. Okay. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to check in today and see how that was going. What are you finding as you're working on noticing and paying attention to your thoughts as you go about your day? What are you noticing? I've done this exercise before in the past, and I just want to share a few things with you. Some of my initial thoughts. These are some old notes. But one of the exercises was look in the mirror and write down what are the thoughts that come to mind. And they're so different. And I also wanted to come on here today and remind you guys, do not judge yourself for your thoughts. Okay? We got thoughts floating around in our brain, and our brains offer us thoughts that we can either pay attention to and accept, or we can say, oh, no thank you, brain. I am choosing not to think that thought today. I'm going to think this thought over here. So some of the things I wrote, the first one I put, I'm looking old. That was my first thought when I looked in the mirror. And then I said, I like my smile, and I like my eyebrows, and you are smart. I said this, and again, I did this a while ago. I wish I was prettier. I wish my hair was different. I like my hair. Do you see how funny it is? How we can have the thought on one end of the spectrum and at the same time have a different thought, a completely different thought on the other side. And so another exercise I did, what do I think when I look at my body? Here's another one. I want to lose weight. And then I wrote, I like my cushion. And that's referring to my little cushion, my midsection cushion. I like my scars. And then I put too much jiggling. So those were just a little, you know, I'm just sharing, being honest with you guys. I have, you know, I didn't even go into too much detail on that, but it's just a matter of noticing those thoughts when they come up, realizing them. Like when I looked in the mirror and said, I'm looking old. Now I don't have to beat myself up and say, why would you say that? You know, or yeah, damn straight you are. You know, you don't have to go to either of those extremes. I just started realizing like, oh, wow, I think that thought about myself. What could I think differently? Or do I like that thought? Is it a thought that serves me? And in a way, it could serve me either way. I could say, oh, you're looking older, maybe more mature. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative. So, but what I came on here again today was to remind you, do not judge yourself for whatever thoughts you're thinking. Our exercise this week was to notice our thoughts without judgment. And I want to also start to introduce another concept into our month of June here, having compassion with ourselves. I want to talk about the concept of our past selves, our present self, and our future self, and how we are all connected, of course. And so let's say I'm looking back at my past self, and maybe I've done some things that I wish I hadn't, or maybe I did some things that I'm proud of myself for. Either way, I want to look back at that girl I was, whether it was last night, last week, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I want to look back at her and I want to have some compassion for her, for where she was, what she was thinking, what she knew at the time, and have compassion. I don't want to look back at my past self with judgment and ridicule. Like, why did you make that decision? Well, that was a wrong decision. What were you thinking? I mean, none of those thoughts are useful, right? Now we can go back and we can say, what were the decisions or what were the options I had in my life at the time that brought me to a decision that I made? And just evaluate them and look at them without judgment, without like, oh, you should have known. We tell ourselves a lot too. So if you're struggling with something in your past, I want you to think back to who you were then and generate some compassion for that person. You know, I've heard people even, maybe they're struggling with weight and they're constantly judging themselves and calling themselves names in their minds. And if you were to take a picture of yourself at 5, 10, whatever years old, and you look at her and you talk to her and you talk to that little girl that you used to be, would you use some of the words that we use for ourselves when we talk to ourselves now? I don't think so. Some of the loving words, you know, you may even have noticed that a lot of your words were very loving. You know, I like my smile. You know, that's just, you know, some of them are good and we want to hold on to them. But if you're struggling with a lot of self-judgment, that is one exercise I recommend. You know, looking at a picture of yourself or thinking about yourself as a little girl, and even writing a letter to that little girl that you used to be and telling her everything's going to be okay. All right. And then the same goes for our future self. who do you want to be in the future? Envision her. What does she do? What does she like to do? What is her life like? What kind of clothes does she wear? Who does she spend her time with? What kind of activities is she doing on a daily basis? And then I want you to think about your present self. How do you want to set up your future self for success? So if you think about it, we are all those people combined, right? But what I want to, this is the way I think of it. I think of my future self and who she is and what she's doing with her life and what she weighs and what she wears and who's in her life. And I make my decisions today based on, at some point in the future, I want future Melanie to look back and say, thanks, girl. You really had my back, and I appreciate it, and I love you, and I know you made sacrifices every day to give me the life I have now. And if you think of it that way, those little sacrifices you make on a daily basis, whether maybe your goal, again, is losing weight, that sacrifice you make by not eating that second helping or that bowl of ice cream or that cookie that just looks so delicious that you would think would be a sacrifice or a shame to waste. We're not getting a lot into weight loss, but we're talking about the compassion. We're talking about loving your future self enough to stick with your goals, your current goals that you have for the day. And if it is to lose weight, then have your protocol and stick with it. If it's your calendar. So my past self created a calendar this week. And she sat down and she said, okay, future Melanie this week wants to get these things done. And I'm going to give her this much time to get them done. And I'm going to make sure she has enough free time to where she feels comfortable spending time with her family or taking a nap or whatever it might be. These are the things she's going to eat this week in order to reach her weight goal. And I'm going to allow her to have things so she's not constrained and stressed out. Okay, so that's what my past self was thinking. So today, as I'm going through my calendar and as I'm eating the things on my protocol, I'm honoring my past self and her smart decisions. And at the same time, I'm setting my future self up for success. So I'm just loving the shit out of myself today, right? I'm doing all the things to just live my best life. Okay? So that's just kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Catch up on what you're noticing about your thoughts. Reminding you not to sit in judgment. I just want you to notice your thoughts this week. Write them down. Start to think about, I see that my brain's offering me this thought. Is it a thought that serves me? And is there maybe another thought that I'd rather think? Okay, so we're not digging super deep into it right now. We're just developing awareness. And then I also wanted to kind of start you thinking about that concept of your past, present, and future self, and loving and honoring her, your past self decisions, your current self sacrifices, and what it's going to feel like when you are your future self and you're looking back and you're like, oh, thank you, girl. You're the best. You're awesome. Thanks for setting me up for this amazing life that I have now. Even if it's just your future self is tomorrow. Maybe one of the things you're working on is over drinking and you have a few too many glasses of wine every night and you wake up feeling crappy in the morning. Maybe a way to honor your future self is to cut back on that. And then tomorrow morning you're going to wake up fresh and with all the sleep not watching that second, third, fourth episode of Supernatural till 2, 3 in the morning. Who does that? I don't know. But getting enough sleep so that your future self wakes up feeling fresh and ready for the day. Just a lot of loving on yourself. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know how your week is going. I'd love to hear about it. And thanks for sticking with me as we grow this wonderful group here. And keep in mind, I work one-on-one with clients too. So if you're interested in having some one-on-one sessions, we can schedule a discovery call and just see what your goals are and how I might be able to help you with those in a one-on-one capacity. So, love you guys so much, and I will check in with you later. All right, I hope this recorded, and I hope there was sound and everything. All right, see ya. Bye-bye.